Thank you for joining us, Molly. You
Can
got a
you,
story? Can you
what,
hear
can you
us
hear us
okay?
okay?
Yeah, sorry, you broke up a little bit.
Oh, it's all good. But we'd love to hear your story if you care to share.
Yeah, so I've experienced quite a few things growing up and fairly recently, but so this happened back in October 2008. Um, it was a few days before Halloween, and I took an impromptu road trip from Missouri to Georgia,
Hmm.
and it was about like a 10-hour drive. And it was around 9 p.m. when I took off, and I stopped at a gas station to buy a road map because it was before like the Apple cell phones, the GPS, and
Yep.
everything. Um, so I stopped like a couple hours down the road. I ended up in Willow Springs, and I was trying to.
Molly,
Uh-oh.
we lost you, Molly. Molly.
Oh, she like totally dropped out of
Oh
Discord.
no. I was getting worried. We're about to hear another
Oh,
disappearing gas station story.
oh God. Remember
I think
that?
about
That was
that
a great, yeah, you
often
do,
when I
right?
drive. Yeah. Oh, Molly,
She'll be
come
back.
back, Molly.
Discord is the worst. Okay.
Is she back? Nothing. All right.
No.
Well, let me know when she's back. But
Leaving us hanging here.
uh,
Oh, she's here.
nice.
Okay, hold on.
Molly, can you hear us? Molly, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, sorry, you disappeared for a second. Last thing we heard was gas station to get a map.
Okay, yeah. So I was about 19 at the time and very naive and thought maybe I could find like a quicker way or a shortcut. And I ended up down on a back road that I didn't recognize. There was like one little sign, no street lights or anything. So I stopped and kept my headlights on. And I was like on the right hand side next to this tree. And there was a field to the left of me and a field to the right, and it kind of looked like there was like an animal coming out of the field. Like you could tell somebody was walking, trying to leave it
Hmm.
on the left hand side. And it started to get a little bit foggy. And there was a guy that came out of the field,
Mm.
but he didn't look like a normal guy at all. He looked like his whole body was just like outlined in fog.
Oh, weird.
And the best way I can describe it is like whenever you cook like a chicken in the oven and you go to take it out and bring it to the table, you can see like the steam lingering on it
Uh huh.
as you're walking it. That's exactly what it looked like when
Whoa.
he was walking across the street.
Whoa.
And he stopped about midway in the street and looked at me, like his eyes met my eyes. And then he looked back towards the road again and just kept walking.
That's crazy. Did he have any type of features that stood out? Did he look like could you tell from a certain time period or anything like that?
He looked like a farmer. You could literally tell he had overalls on, he
Huh.
had a straw hat on.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, and I mean, it's a lot of farmland out there, so I couldn't even tell like what time period, if that was now or, but
Right.
it was crazy because now thinking about it, when he looked at me, it was really scary. Like I was terrified,
Huh.
but I feel like when he looked at me, he had no clue where he was.
Oh
I
wow.
think he thought he was just like looking across the road, looked back, and then just kept walking.
He thought you were a ghost. He's like, what is
Yeah.
this? That's crazy. You said this was October, right?
Yeah. This was like 2008,
Okay. Did
like
you?
right before Halloween.
Was there any? If people have this kind of experience, and they say there's like a temperature
Mm.
change that happens. Did you feel any of that?
Um, so it did seem like it was a little bit colder. And I mean, like I said, there was like fog rolling in, which is really weird because during that, like out in the Midwest, it doesn't really get like that,
Hmm.
even in October.
Right.
Most of the time it's pretty nice in October.
So he just when he looked at you, you felt a fear, but you could see in his face that he seemed, would you say, like lost, or was he looking scared?
He literally looked like it was just a normal day, and he was looking to see if there was a car coming.
Oh,
And when he
interesting.
realized,
Uh-oh.
Oh no, it always happens when they're talking about ghosts.
Mm.
Molly, we lost you.
Oh, she's muted.
Molly,
Hi.
if you can hear us, you are muted.
Slipped on a button.
Uh-oh. The ghost hand said, not this time. Molly, if you can hear us, you are muted. Nothing.
Well, I love that the ghosts, like, they're like accepted us being here, except for some things.
They're like, yeah, you can only talk about certain things, just not us.
Hey, remember maps?
Maps, I used to print them out all the time. MapQuest was my jam. Hey, Molly, are you there?
Speaking of California, we used to have like the Thomas Guide. I think that's what it was called. It's a big, fat, thick map book. I could never read a map. I mean, I would just be lost. It doesn't matter. How did we ever get around? I'm not sure.
I use maps all the time. All the time.
Let's see.
I toured the whole country with a map.
Molly?
Oh, man. Poor Molly. I wanted to hear where that was going. Oh, I heard a voice, but then she disappeared. Molly, can you hear us?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So you were saying, you were describing that it looked like he was just experiencing a normal day crossing the road looking for a car, and then you cut out.
Yeah, so he looked like it was just a normal day, and he was looking to see if anybody was coming, and then just kept walking by.
And then he just disappears into the fog in the other field?
Yeah, he literally just disappeared. I didn't see anything else after that. He just kind of left.
Was that your first experience with anything like that?
No, no. I grew up in a house that was built in like the 1700s.
Nice.
So I've experienced a lot. And it's crazy because the small town that I grew up in, it was actually originally called Militia Springs. So it was like where a military encampment.
Oh, boy.
Molly, we lost
She's
you
gone.
again.
She's official. She just
Oh, no.
dropped.
Totally gone. Well, I know about growing up in houses from the 1700s.
Oh, yeah. You growing up in the 1700s too,
I know,
huh,
yeah.
Shane?
I know about growing up in the 1700s. I am a time traveler, like Baron Trump. I'm really hoping for that. We learn more about Baron being a time traveler once Trump's in office.
Oh, okay.
That's my goal, is to get Baron on the podcast.
Well,
so we
Melania's going to have a documentary, right?
about time travel?
No, about, I guess, her and her life or whatever. But PCC was talking about this, that maybe Baron Trump will actually like talk on that. Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious. I think he's a time traveler. Clearly. I would love to get somehow, like, who's the expert on the Tesla and Trump connection? You know, like, I wonder if someone's writing a book. I'm going to look that up.
Hold
Because
on.
I need to get them in here.
Molly?
Who we got? Molly,
Molly.
can you hear us?
Hello. Yeah, I can.
Hey, sorry. You keep cutting out. You were saying you're in the town that you grew up in was like a military camp?
At one point there was a military encampment. I found out that they had one during the Civil War.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and this was like years later after dealing with all this stuff that happened in my house. I found that out.
What kind of stuff happened in the house?
I would hear just voices, a lot of noises in the house. At one point, it felt like somebody smashed a glass on my head one night when I was sleeping.
It felt like it, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just a lot of random experiences.
Were the voices saying something, or was it just like the sounds of voices?
Sometimes they would be like saying my grandma's name or my mom's name.
Was the
A
house
lot of random stuff.
Was the house in your family for a long time?
No, it wasn't actually. I'm originally from California, and we moved to Missouri when I was around like 5 years old. So we had no idea that a lot of those houses and businesses and stuff have been around since like the 1800s.
Yeah, yeah, deep old history there. That's wild. When it came to the sounds and stuff, was it like typical doors opening or weirder sounds?
Just like doors opening, things falling. A lot of the time, like my dad would tell me to turn off my stereo, and I'd be like, I already turned it off. So it would just like come on by itself. And we also had a really weird like trap door in our playroom where you would open it and there would be these really narrow stairs and like this little
Hmm,
furnace area. And it was just an unfinished basement. It was very, very creepy.
interesting. Yeah, those are super creepy. Other and so anyone else in the house experienced these things to the degree you did?
What was that?
Did anyone else in the house experience like the sounds and stuff as much as you did?
No.
Hmm.
My said that he saw somebody one time, but he told me after the fact because I would come to him and be like, "Have you heard anything or like seen anything weird in the house?" And he'd always be like, "No, no, I haven't seen anything."
That's
So,
funny. Yeah, I grew up in a house from the 1700s, and we all kind of experienced weird stuff. But I know the sounds, and sometimes it was just an animal trapped in the attic, but other times it was just you couldn't explain the sound or the shadow or the weird hum happening, and all the TVs were off. It's super
yeah.
weird, super weird. And was there anything else that you experienced outside of the house?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple different experiences, but I it's another small town in Missouri, but I lived with a couple friends for a little while. And I don't know how long the house has been around, but I know that they had a whole family, I guess, that passed away from tuberculosis.
Mm.
And my friend told me after I'd moved in that this happened, apparently. And I stayed up in her attic, and it genuinely looked like Amityville Horror up there. It was really creepy.
Whoa.
But I just remember they would be completely passed out, and I could tell and kind of see them like in the crack in the floorboard that they were passed out. And I would hear somebody start to like walk up the stairs because we had like attic stairs and then there was another door. And you could hear them like creaking up the stairs, and then it sounded like somebody was just like full blown running up the stairs, and then
Hmm.
you could hear the door slam.
Hmm.
And that would happen almost every day.
Sheesh. That'll keep you up.
Yeah, yeah, no, I didn't get any sleep.
That's great. And do you still experience stuff like this?
Um, I have not really experienced anything since really. I would say there's one moment. My sister-in-law unfortunately passed away a couple years ago,
Mm.
but we came out to California to be with family and stuff. And I remember it was like I think 3 a.m. and we were in the apartment that she had passed away in, and the light just came on by itself
Hmm.
when we were sleeping. And I'm a pretty sensitive sleeper. I have 3 kids, so anything wakes me up.
Mm.
And it was really alarming. And I immediately thought, like, is that you turning on the light?
Yeah, I've had that. I've had oddly similar experiences with people who had just passed away, and I always felt like it was somehow a communication through electricity, and I couldn't really explain it. And in places that I've been my whole life, and all of a sudden there's these weird issues. I always wonder if it's like there's something each that some people are just more susceptible to these things. I'm
Yeah, I
curious.
definitely feel like people are. I mean, I've had so many experiences from the time I was like 5 up until fairly recently. So it's pretty crazy.
What was do you remember like the early stuff?
A lot of that was like in my house. I definitely remember even like I have a pretty vivid memory. So I remember moving into that house,
Hmm.
and I distinctly remember like the skeleton key doors and everything and the old like crystal chandelier
Hmm.
that was in there. But I remember moving stuff in and feeling like it was cold, genuinely being like, okay, it's really cold in here. Maybe we should turn off the air. And my mom being like, yeah, there's no air on. Like, we just moved in, so nothing's on right now.
Oh wow,
So just very weird, eerie stuff.
that's wild. That's crazy. Did you have any other stories?
Yeah, I have one more. It's not paranormal,
Let's
but
hear it.
well, I don't know if you would really consider it paranormal, or maybe it has something to do with aliens. I have no idea.
Perfect. Well, let's
But
hear it.
I lived in Montana for a little while. This was back in like 2006, and a few friends of mine and I took a road trip to Missoula. There was a show playing, and we ended up, going to the show and hanging out that night. And it was summertime, and we didn't really have like a place to stay, so we ended up finding this really large field that looked like it had been harvested. So there were like piles of like brush and stuff.
Hmm.
So it was like a perfect little spot to kind of sleep behind. So we ended up sleeping in this field. And when we woke up the next morning, it was like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 a.m. And I was kind of looking around, waking up, and there were a bunch of dead deer everywhere.
Whoa.
Like, I don't even know how many. I kind of lost count. My other two friends didn't really seem too concerned, which I thought was weird. But I mean, they were literally like everywhere.
What did you inspect the deer? Like how do you were they shot? Were they just collapsed dead?
Um, it doesn't look like they were shot. I could tell, like, their tongue was hanging out and there was a little bit of blood. But I mean, I feel like I would have heard like gunshots or something going on if that were the case. But they, that's all I noticed about the deer. And just the fact that, I mean, there had to have been more than like, I don't know, 50 or 60 deer just
That's
kind of
crazy.
scattered throughout the field.
That's crazy. You said you went there at night. Like, do you think you maybe just didn't see them, and then you woke up? Like, I'm wondering if someone dumped them there, or if or like you're saying when you started, something supernatural happened where they all just dropped dead.
Yeah, well, I didn't notice anything except for the brush. The big piles of brush is the only thing I noticed in the field.
That's crazy.
I hope
That's more
Yeah.
that's
disturbing to me than the ghost in the fog, honestly.
Yeah, I tried looking it up as well too, just to see like, and I couldn't find anything except for like, I know that I think it was like a couple years ago they had a problem with them contracting a disease and a lot of the deers dying off. But I mean, this was like
Right.
2006, so I have no idea.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes they could eat one thing and it just poisons them.
yeah.
You know, maybe something nearby was contaminated, which is definitely possible these days, um, or something weirder. You know, there's a lot of these weird stories. I was saying earlier on the show, talking about these farms that had thousands of cows just drop dead, and like they were all stiff, like they had immediately had rigor mortis. It was really bizarre. It's if people haven't
Yeah,
seen those images, you should look it up. Not not for fun, but if you want to be shocked, like it's
yeah.
bizarre. But the deer, yeah, that is really crazy, really crazy.
Yeah, I've heard of some of that going on, so I kind of looked it up myself, and yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, Molly, thank you for calling and sharing these stories. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Have a great night.
You too.
That's
I hope
wild.
that's not like foreshadowing our drive home tonight
Oh,
with all the
jeez.
deer.
There's a lot of deer out there.
It's terrible. I almost hit one last time we were
They're
here.
suicidal.
It's crazy, man.
These deer, they're very upset.
They're very
They're very
upset.
depressed deer, and they're just praying at these headlights.
They just want to cross the street, man. Their
No,
timing's
they're
just
actually.
off.
I actually think the deer down here are smarter than the ones I'm used to in New York. I don't know why. Maybe because there's more hunting, and they're just like they're
They're
more
used to
zoned in.
sounds.
They're like, we gotta get out. Because I haven't had as many deer issues down here as I have other crazy wildlife.
One was like lurking. I was like, "Don't you do it? Don't even."
Have you ever hit a
Don't-
deer?
No,
Oh, it's terrible.
no. You've hit a deer before?
On my birthday.
Oh no,
This is a funny story. Do we have another caller?
no.
Okay. Well, on it was a night of like some night I was driving around New York 4 days before my birthday, and a deer ran right into my driver window. Like his face was next to me, and then he like whipped around so his tail then hit the driver's side passenger, and then he got up and ran away.
No.
But he like really hurt the car, dented the car. It didn't
Yeah.
hurt that bad. But his face was like I could see a perfect outline of his face and where his tongue came out on my window. And when I got out of the car to check everything, I noticed that his tail got stuck in the door. And so the tail
Oh
was
no.
on like in the crease where the door opens. And I was
So he
like,
left his tail behind.
His tail was there. Just like the fur, not like all the meat and stuff. But I was about 19 or 20, and I thought that was hilarious.
That's
so
hilarious.
I said, I'm going to show my friends that I have this car now, and it looks like I'm the deer. And now they're going to think I'm the deer. And then on my birthday, 4 days later, I'm driving home from Brooklyn, upstate, and a deer just jumps out of nowhere.
No.
And my car accordions. It was an
Oh,
old
and it's
Volvo,
done.
like a 98.
Yeah.
And it drove. I was able to drive it home afterwards. But that was crazy. Like, the deer ran away. It must have died afterwards, but
Yeah.
it was in shock. But the car just totally accordioned. I drove home, and that was that. But hitting a deer is awful.
I always think of Tommy Boy.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. You know,
Oh
or the
my
Queens
God.
of the Stone Age music video. But yeah, it's not fun. So I'm
No.
very cautious on the roads because I'm always worried about
I know. I always drive home with my eyes wide open. Like,
the dark country roads. They're trying
yeah.
to get you.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And then the vultures, they're eating them because they're all over the place. But that's the fun thing to look forward to.
Yeah. West
Well,
Virginia.
This is a fun way to start the year.
Yeah. Felt good. Good positive guest.
I feel like this year is going to give us a lot of unfortunate content to talk about.
Yeah.
It has been nonstop. Another thing I wanted to talk about Germany, I just remembered, well, in terms of like the Mockingbird stuff. So for those who don't know, like the CIA, the Mockingbird thing, I'm sure a lot of you do already, but that's when the CIA infiltrated a lot of the media and would either feed them information that they wanted or put journalists in to these media, publications or TV, like not just in our country, but all over the place. So it's like not uncommon, and I don't think it just stopped. Like the same way we talk about MK Ultra or anything, I don't think these programs just stop. They mutate and become something else. But after that terrorist attack that happened in New Orleans with the driver, it was bizarre to me that a journalist was granted access to the house right after. It was still a crime scene, and she was seeing like the chemicals, she said, that they used to make bombs. I'm like, how are they allowing this?
People are incompetent.
Is it incompetence
Yeah.
or was it on purpose as like a part of the fear campaign that they're a part of, That's why it's impossible to know.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth thinking about because it totally could be incompetence.
Yeah.
But that would be crazy to think this guy just did all this stuff and you're letting a journalist in with a camera to walk around. Even though they said it's not a crime scene anymore, it was a day later and she's able to see the chemicals and stuff. It made no sense to me. That's why I'm just very cautious with all this stuff. Because that's a lot of these people are saying now, gear up for these terrorist attacks. Something feels like it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
We had a really crazy 2024. People tried killing the president-elect, the guy running for president, We saw crazy stuff go down, so
I've become a conspiracy theorist.
I know. This whole show has just been to radicalize you slowly over time. And it's working. It's working. It's great. But we'll be here next week.
Yeah. Let's hope no one gets sick or anything.
Can people? You're going to use the internet this year, right?
Yeah, I'm going to use internet. I'm going to connect.
Where can they find you?
I did post to X tonight.
You did?
Yeah, it's like we're going to have a show. Look at me.
Look at you.
I know.
That's amazing.
I am Alex Ayala on X.
Sweet. And I'm Shane Cashman everywhere online. If you got stories for us, we take callers. You can hit me up at Shane Cashman at scanner.com, scnr.com. Hit us up. We'll have you on the show. It'll be fun. And in the meantime, just stay safe out there. We'll see y'all next week.